It was sometime around, I don't know, 1:30 in the morning, sitting in the outdoor food court in the Plumas County Fairgrounds in Quincy, California, when I met Smitty. I was pretty focused, sitting at the table, looking at the slice of pepperoni that I was about to consume, the steam coming off of it, the scent entering my nostrils. When I looked over to the side, and I saw Smitty join the table. Now, Smitty kind of looked like Santa Claus in the middle of the summer wearing a hippie outfit. And he walked up, cradling oh so carefully his fresh crepe filled with Nutella, banana, and whipped cream. I know because I asked him. And he sat down with an absolute, total, and complete focus and bit into the crepe. And an absolute euphoric look came over Smitty's face. So much so that from the other end of the table, I hadn't even taken a bite of the pizza. I'm just observing this. And I looked at Smitty and I said, "Are you having a good evening?" And Smitty, without breaking focus, still staring at the crepe and chewing, says, "This is highly recommended." Now, Smitty's instantaneous Yelp review, I can confirm, was absolutely true because I had the exact same thing 2 nights later. But what struck me in that moment was that Smitty was having his own moment. He was enjoying life. And all too often, we don't take the moment to just enjoy life. Ladies and gentlemen, I have attended the High Sierra Music Festival for 10 of the last 13 years. When you do anything 10 years in a row, you start to question, why am I doing this 10 years in a row? That's nutty. But it's not. Now, I've considered greatly and longly, why do I do this year after year after year after year? What? It's called High Sierra Music Festival. One would infer that perhaps I go for the music aspect of the music festival. And yes, I think probably for the first couple of years I did. That's probably the reason. But the lineup changes every year, and I'm a lot older than when I first went, and my ears are different, and my tastes and genre specificities are a little bit different. So I think it's the music, but it's really different every year. So maybe not. So it's got to be the camping. I do enjoy the camping. We hoist the flag up for our camp. I get to sit around with my family and friends and cook and talk and laugh for days. But I'm also 50 years old. And that means that 5 days in a row I get to sleep next to my brother on an air mattress in a small tent. Ladies and gentlemen, that does not make a decade of primary drive to attend. So I think it's the people. I think it's the people that make the scene. The people that I don't see in Encinitas, that I don't see in my perfect life any other time. People like Mara. Mara, who I met on Railway Field. Now, Railway Field is where you queue up to enter the festival. You drive your car in, you camp for one night. It's really uncomfortable. There's cow patties all over the place. And Mara was camping solo, right behind me. So I said, "Hey, neighbor." And I heard Mara's story. Mara had moved 1 year prior to Northern California from the great state of New York. She lived in New York City. She was living the dream life. Well, actually, in Mara's opinion, it kind of came down to this. She moved to Northern California not because she didn't like New York City, but because she didn't want to pay the tax. The tax being, she had to live in 400 square feet and pay an exorbitant amount to eat in order to enjoy a 24/7 lifestyle. But Mara had a little bit of a cocaine problem. Good on you, Mara, for recognizing that you have a problem. And she decided to extricate herself from New York City because it was only cocaine that was allowing her to enjoy the 24 lifestyle. And so she moved to Northern California. I was a little worried about her when I first met her, because anybody camping alone, you think, is she gonna be okay? Yeah, Mara was just okay. I saw her a couple days later. She was camping with a larger group. She was having a grand old time. One of the beauties of High Sierra is you might come in with your own baggage, you might deal with your own baggage, and you might leave with your own baggage, but usually nobody makes their baggage somebody else's baggage. So everybody's just having a good time. I met another gentleman, Philip, from Fresno. I specifically remember the first time I met Philip because he was down on his knees taking a picture up his wife's nostrils because she was passed out in a lawn chair with drool coming down the side of her face. Apparently this is something that transpired throughout the marriage, and he has a whole series of photos of his wife in compromising positions like this. On either side of his wife were his two children, Adler, age 8, and Jonah, age 11. Now, I'll start with Jonah because Jonah could care less about what was transpiring in the festival. There could be pyrotechnics going on the stage. Jonah was in Harry Potter. There could be folk singing and dancing going on the stage. Jonah was in Harry Potter. There could be people sleeping. There could be people dancing. There could be acrobatics going on. It did not matter. Jonah's head was in Harry Potter, and I saw this for 3 straight days. Now, Adler, it was the opposite. Adler was young and rambunctious, and he wanted to run around with his giant squirt gun and cool people off, mostly willingly, because it was 90 degrees outside, and usually being hosed down by an 8-year-old's okay if it's 90 degrees outside. He was having the time of his life. I met up again with Philip and with Adler 2 nights later. I had actually seen them every day in the same spot. And I actually walked up to Philip and I struck up a conversation with him, because where else are you going to meet people like this? And I remarked that I had seen him taking a picture of his wife, and we had a good chuckle about it. And then I saw something unusually awesome, which is that Adler was still awake. And my first thought was, what's this 8-year-old doing awake at 12:30 at night? That's kind of irresponsible parenting. Is it? Philip and Adler were cleaning up all of the trash that remained on the field on this remote stage after all the intoxicated adults had gone off to the next activity. What better parenting is there than to teach your child the value of cleaning up the planet after everybody else has disappeared? That struck me as unique. So, why do we engage in recreation? What is it? It makes us feel good most of the time. We could be going for a run, we could be going for a swim, we could just be hanging out. Our recreation might be painting in a club, might be Toastmasters. I think we do it for the social well-being. Now, you could go for a run, but you might end up joining a running club. You could go for a swim, but you probably talk to people afterward or when you break at the lane. Why do I go to High Sierra? For the scene, for the people, because it's magnificent, and because you never know what year 11 is going to bring. Mr. Toastmaster.